In college, he had a summer job working with youth at his local YMCA, and after graduation, Greg was hired as a program director for the youth program at the YMCA in Kansas City. He ran an international program for the YMCA in Costa Rica, where he helped develop programs that gave kids a place to thrive in their academic and athletic skills. There, Greg really started to see the heart and mission of the YMCA at work and knew he wanted to be a part of it. In 2009, Greg and his family came to Central Minnesota, Phoenix, and Greg became the executive director of the St. Cloud area YMCA. With an aging building, Greg saw the opportunity to transform the Y and the community. In partnership with the city of St. Cloud and CentraCare, the new YMCA was built. Programs that benefited the community with strong emphasis on diversity were developed. The St. Cloud area YMCA served 500,000 people in 2023. Greg will share with us the impact that the Y is making in our community and the exciting plans for an outdoor water park. So thanks for being here.
Thank you. And I want to keep this informal, whether it was a large group or a small group. I like things being informal. And so please just ask questions as we go along. And if it's okay, what I'll do is I'll just level set a little bit about who we are, our mission, our identity, how we currently serve, what our aspirational goals are, which brings in with this water park. And then, like I say, asking questions all along the way. On the screen here, it talks about connecting, and that's really what we view the Y as being, as a connector. When you think about, community and when you say community, the word diversity, and however you choose to use that word, I like to challenge people and say places that people pay to go, there is no place that's more reflective of their community than your YMCA. And every time I've asked people to give me another location, no one's came back with another location. And I think that just speaks to the volumes to the team and to what our young adults are doing to serve our community and really cast in a greater vision. And our vision would be is connecting families, communities, and then each individual. So when you think about who the Y is in our identity, most people don't even recognize we're a nonprofit or where our identity started, 185 years ago. And like anything in life, we talked earlier about evolving, the Y has to evolve and the Y evolves. And so our mission is to put Christian principles in the practice through programs that build a healthy spirit, mind, and body for all. And when we talk about Christian principles, in the last 2 years, well, if I was to back up, 8 years ago when we opened up in 2017, that was when hired Atonement, who was a pastor in the community, and he was our chaplain, and he still is our chaplain. And what we were doing though at that time, we were having Bible study classes and other things that were there at the Y, but Dom is there and continues to be there for our member when things are difficult, because we all know we're all carrying stuff. Not everyone is actively involved and engaged in a church to where Dom could maybe help connect them to resources. But then 2 years ago, I chose a different path. When we think about Christian principles, to me, Christian principles just really lie in 3 areas. How do you serve? How do you care? And how do you love? How do you do those 3 things every single day? And we have nearly 200 employees, with probably 75% of them being under the age of 21. And so what I chose to do is I said, let's shift this. When we think about the youth organization, who we are, it only took me about 30 years of being in the Y before I connected the dot. We're always asking ourselves, how can we serve teens? How can we serve teens? Well, we're serving over 100 and probably 30 teens right now, every day as an employer. Why don't Dom and us and our team focus more about teaching them how to live their life of serving, caring, and loving? And maybe we can earn the question about Christ, because that's the other thing that we talk about. When you come in, we're not handing everybody a Bible. If you're a friend of mine, Mike McCarty, he shared with me one day, we were talking about Christians, and he goes, because everybody's a pre-Christian, or they just don't know that they're a Christian yet. And so between that comment and the comment of let's earn the question, we've really focused on the last year working with our team about how do you serve, care, and love. And every Monday we put out a devotional into all of our employees to see. And right now, though, as we like to say, we give the address to it in the Bible. And that's actually turned people away. And what we're going to do, though, is we're going to take the address away, but still have the message in there and see if we can earn that question to take them further in their journey. So I share this knowing that I'm at a place in a space where people are trying to connect people to their faith and have a deeper relationship. That's a component that we're working with our young adults to see how we influence that. And then we just have this greater opportunity of, with youth, last year we served over 20,000 different youth through our programs and membership. On average, when it comes to healthy living, and that's a spectrum, healthy living is your spirit, mind, and body. But we have nearly 1,800 people through our doors every day. So when we talk about 500,000 people being served, that's a real number. That's a number of people coming and being served in our community that come to our Y. And there is that social responsibility side of us. And there's a spectrum of social responsibility. It could be just making sure that those in our community who do not have financial resources, that they have access to Y. They have access to swim lessons and our sports programs, or just the fitness that needs to be, or just a community to belong to. Everybody pays something to be a part of the Y. The ones who aren't paying anything, those are individuals that are at Anna Marie's, that are in transition, Place of Hope, where they're in transition. Those individuals were not charged. But otherwise, everybody needs to be a stakeholder. We found, or I find, that if they're contributing something, whatever that means is, they have more ownership in what our work is and what our direction is. But also under social responsibility, it could be for us looking at spaces that are gaps in our community. I didn't start this program. It's been a part of our Y here in our community, I would guess, for nearly 40 years. And this is our supervised visitation program, where we partner with the courts and the counties. It's been incredible because at one point, a lot of what would happen in that space, would they meet in a room like this, tables, chairs, maybe throw a game board on the table and say, hey, now you can be a parent. Well, but if you've been to the Y, now you have a swimming pool, you have ping pong, you have foosball, you have a climbing wall. We have space where if they want to read, if they want to watch a movie, but they have a choice and they have choices to interact and create probably what is more of a healthier, normal view of what a family is versus just sitting at a table and trying to be that parent. And then the other spectrum could be as we partner with 742. And this is a program that I wanted to implement when I moved here 15 years ago, but we just wanted a good financial space to do it. It's called Safety Around Water. Most people don't realize in 742, when you survey those families that are of kiddos in the second grade, so 7, 8 years of age, over 70% of those kids have never had a formal swim lesson in their life. And in a community where you have access to water, whether you like it or not, that's pretty alarming. So now we bus those kids over to the Y. It's a 6-week program, and we teach them how to do a back float, some version of a front crawl. They're not going to be the most proficient swimmer, but they're going to be able to recognize what's unsafe water, what is safe water, how to help someone if they're in trouble without getting themselves in trouble, but most importantly, give themselves a fighting chance of getting themselves out of a bad situation. So that's some of that social responsibility space that we work and we play in every day. And there's people in this community, Chris, who talk about your membership and being active at the Y, and it's people that believed in our mission and our vision and our values that have helped us be who we are right now. And when we talked about the vision of the new Y, yeah, the truth was when I moved here, I didn't move here because I really liked where we were. I heard that the city had $10 million. I'm like, okay, that's about half the money we would need to do something significant for it. And then we got the stakeholders to understand and look at what we wanted to do, which was really this. Our long range aspiration is we want 30% of our region to belong to the Y. And the reason why is that in our society of healthy, positive places to go to, there's probably fairly narrow. The Y, the premise of the Y, just so people understand how it was founded, it was founded by George Williams, who during the industrial period in England, he was trying to get his friends out of brothels and bars. Something as simple as that. It was a farmer he was born on a farm, and his dad said, "You're not a good farmer. We need to find you something else to do." He found Christ, and then he found the Y. And he started taking people out of the the industrial buildings that he was a part of, and that's where the Y movement began. So we want to be that same positive outlet for people too. And so how we've grown is in 2016, which was the year before we opened up the new Y, we went from 6,000 members to where in 2020 we had nearly 19,000 members. And then life changed, right? You know, and then half of our membership was gone. But then now, since we've been back up, we have over 18,000 members. Now to level set this, like any good business, you do a market study, you do a business study, and you put a business plan together. Our market study said we would maybe get 16,000 members. So we far exceeded based upon the programming that we provide, and we continue to modify and make sure that it is relevant. And so by 2032, which that time is moving up on us quick here, is 30% of the community. And again, it depends on how far you want to cast the net out, but ours is with the 6 cities that butt up to each other. And we want to have 45,000 members of the Y from our community, making more healthier choices and being a part of the community. So that's what our target and aspiration is. So we want to be the front porch of our community. We want to be recognized as a place where everyone feels welcome, everybody feels comfortable. But in order to do this, the barrier that we fight is time. And depending on where you've grown up and where you've lived, like I was said earlier that I lived in Phoenix, a 30-minute drive to go do something, that was just normal, right? If you were born and raised in Stearns County and you have to drive more than 10 minutes, then you feel like you drove 30 minutes. That's just our truth. And so what we want to do is we want to put multiple facilities, similar, not exactly like what we have right now, into various parts of our region. So that way, the healthier choice becomes the easier choice. And you join one and you join them all. And so we also want to make sure that we reflect our community and increase the diversification of who we are and be a cornerstone of inclusivity and be that support. So more than 10 years ago, we started with, okay, number one was the first path, which is where we are now. A great partnership with the city, bringing other partners. Partners is important to me. I believe we duplicate too many services and therefore, and I'm gonna use a strong word, waste a lot of resources because of duplication. We partner with over 130 different businesses. That can be from government to nonprofit to the private sector, to make and ensure that we're providing the most relevant and cost-effective programming for our community. We always knew that the water park was going to be the second phase. You know, the city and with Mayor Kleiss at the time, you know, they made the difficult decision that they had to close in municipal. And so therefore, we knew that we could have the infrastructure, and we're the #1 provider of swim lessons. We provide over 250 swim lessons to kids each and every month. You know, we have the lifeguard. We understand that. And then we knew multiple locations. Well, what happened was we didn't even have this building built yet. And St. Joe had reached out to us saying, hey, we have $10 million. We like the partnership that you're doing. We want to reflect that over in the St. Joe, or what I like to say is the Western part. You know, there's been conversations about South. There's been conversations about North. East, we're kind of waiting to see how East continues to grow out. But with each of these locations too, we'll have similar programming, but it's all going to be exact. So like a water park that we're talking about, we're not going to have a water park at every location, but you join one Y, you join them all. So if you're at the South location, or West, whatever it is, you'll have access to this. So yeah, it won't beat that 10-minute drive time that we want, but I think people are willing maybe to drive 15 minutes to a water park versus 50 minutes or to an hour and a half of what we're doing now. And so we are in conversations about a third location also. So we are in a significant growth pattern right now. And in order to do this, that's how we're going to reach that impact that we talked about. That's how we're going to triple the number of youth that we're going to be serving, and reducing childhood obesity and chronic illness, and improving the mental health and the wellness of people. We want to just take this mission and make it easier and more accessible. So Jeff and Melinda Gow, some of you may or may not know them. They were bold and they chose to step forward and help us raise the money for the water park. And the city of St. Joe is actively raising money for the facility in St. Joe. What I love about Jeff and Melinda is similar, but yet slightly different messages of how they like to talk about it. Melinda actually grew up in the cities, and she grew up near a Y that actually had an outdoor pool. And she has fond memories as a youth going there, just probably like if you grew up here, you probably have fond memories of going to the old municipal. She envisions bike racks full of bikes of a safe place for kids to go during the summer months. Jeff has a different perspective and a broader vision. When I moved here 15 years ago, my children were 4 and 3. We didn't move here because of all the fun things for our kids to do. The truth is they're just, now in my 15 years, the addition of what is, I would call a more relevant YMCA provided more amenities. You know, the Children's Museum is another piece of. We want to be, and we feel that not only the Y, but the water park, our vision, will help make central Minnesota even a more livable community with amenities that will help attract young professionals, young families, and ideally keep them here in central Minnesota. So that's the view that Jeff has, is that it's another, not the silver bullet, but it's another amenity that we need to make sure that young families are going to be here and come here and be a part of us. And these are other individuals that have a spectrum of helping us with raising the dollars that we're looking towards.
Matt Staley, we know that guy.
What's that?
Matt Staley.
Yeah, well, now we get to take his name off because he was mean and he left us. Now he's going up in the booth and living up there, and he's the new city administrator up there.
Oh,
But-
yeah.
But there are definitely people that are coming and going, and this names, this lists are actually expanding. So what we're proposing is this. It's not going to be anything that's going to be systemic or widely different than what you'd see in other communities. But what we want to do is we want to stop the top part. Right now, people are going to Hutchinson. They're going down to Grand Rapids. They're going to Edina. They're going other places to get this type of outside of it. And the other thing too is that if you call the Visitors and Convention Bureau, when they get calls from outside businesses wanting to bring business to central Minnesota during the summer, the first question they ask is, do you have a water park? Because they're trying to figure out what are the families going to do while whatever set activity is that's going on. And so we feel that we can help make this happen. And so share a video here. Volume down. So what we're proposing is to the north side of the building. So the north side would be with the aquatic center. This outdoor water park right here, it gives us the opportunity to not only serve the community, but then it's also going to give us an opportunity to bring people into our community. So this pool that you saw there was a zero entry pool that will be serving kids from the ages of toddlers all the way up until, to be honest, people in this room. What we're proposing is,
And older.
and older, what we're proposing is this facility would have 7 different slides that are designed for more teenagers and older, and then 3 other slides that are designed for those younger kiddos. So this yellow slide is a single or 2-person tube slide that takes you down into the lazy river. That lazy river will wind around through the water park. And to give you an idea, you know, it's about this, if you put the lazy river in a long line, it's about the length of a football field. So it's not like just some little small oval thing. So there'll be 2 slides that would be inside the lazy river area. As it swings around, you're going to see the windows of the existing. We were intentional about when we built the first building to make sure that this was going to be successful to support this project. So there'd be 2 more slides that drop you into deeper water. To the left of that are 2 more faster slides that are enclosed. The red bucket there that you see dropping water in the blue slides, that's for those kiddos that are somewhere between the ages of 6 and 11. And then to the right, those are going to be the zero entry for the young toddlers that at the age of 5. The buildings there, that's where the changing areas and the concession areas are going to be. You'll notice a lot of different shade structures. And so the intention of this is to make sure that we know most people are going to come here and probably spend up to 2 hours every day that they want to be here to be a part of this. And so we wanted to make sure that when we designed it, it was large, it was spacious, it would accommodate. We anticipate north of 1,000 people that would be coming here and using the water park every day. to be outside during the summer months. Now, what I hear and what we've heard from some donors saying, well, we don't need this, we have lakes. Well, guess what? Not everybody has access to a lake. Let's be honest too, it's like the quarries. I have teenage daughters. They don't go there a lot, but every time they go there, I just hold my breath. Because unfortunately, we hear frequently about incidents that happen. This all of a sudden becomes a safer space for our teens to be there and be a part of. The truth will be is that most teenagers are going to be hanging out here during the days, during the summers. To be quite honest, I'd rather have them hanging out here than hanging out some other areas inside of our community. So from left to right, you would never even need to go inside the Y. They'll have its own entrance and exit. And where the lazy river is at, that pushes out into an underutilized softball field there at Whitney Park. And so the city is actually allowing us to push out into that area. And what's going to actually happen is if you're aware or not aware, is just beyond this north kind of east part, that's where they're going to be putting some outdoor pickleball courts. The city is. So there'll be another amenity. Those trees are the existing trees that butt up to the large baseball field. And so our goal is to maintain and keep as many of those trees as we possibly can. But it just becomes a new amenity for our community that has easy accessibility to. And as I said earlier, I envision our members using this a lot, especially Monday through Friday. And then on the weekends, I envision those that are coming to our communities, whether it's for a softball tournament, a basketball tournament, it may be for business, it could be for family visitings, you name it. This becomes a highly destination facility.
What's the max capacity?
I have no idea.
Not yet, and.
Well, and even
Hot day,
people that, but people even ask me about like the current Y. They go, what's our capacity? I really don't. I know what spaces are. But what happens is it becomes it kind of regulates itself. But as I said, though, if you think about it, for the most part, it'll be opened up from noon until about 8 o'clock in the evening. And so 1,000 people coming through there at any given point, you're going to have 100 to probably 150 people that are in there at one time. Right now, the way it's being proposed, and we're having meetings now with our insurance company to make sure that they're comfortable with the design. But we need 15 cars being up at one time to be able to have this open. And so when people ask us, when would it be open? It's Memorial to Labor Day, but probably around August 15th, we have to transition the hours because our labor force is going back to school. And that's just.
Is it gonna be the same sort of structural lifeguard as the current inside pool? Because I mean, everybody feels really safe. I mean, I have a 5-year-old daughter, and she, that they eyes are all over.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. And what I find funny is people are coming to the Y and they see the windows. What most of them don't understand is lifeguards aren't there to really watch your child.
Right.
Lifeguards are there to assist if something goes different. So like we have rules, and you probably know this, then if you're your child that's 5, if you're under the age of 7 and younger, the parent is required to be in the water because we want everybody to have that safe experience. All the windows, they're there because anybody that's walking by will see what's going on. And so a lot of times people are like, I don't want to get in the water because I got to get my swimsuit. People are going to watch me. Who cares what you're wearing and paying attention, unless you're wearing something that you want people to pay attention to. Which we don't allow that. But the truth be told is they're just looking to make sure that everybody's safe. And that's exactly what we want to do here. So
It is reassuring.
absolutely. Thank you.
It's so needed. For so long, we needed this. I mean, I grew up in Glencoe and I biked to the pool every single day of the summer.
Yeah.
And that was what I did. And so, like Melinda said, really needed.
So we actually in 2019, we did a market study. We did some community input sessions. We built a business model knowing that this can be sustained. One of my goals has always been that we will go out and raise the money to build these facilities. We have partnerships with the city that help us maintain them. But we're not going to ask the community to help us have to remodel and do things outside of it. And so in 2020, this is when we were supposed to be fundraising for this. And then, of course, life changed. Not only did it change, but it changed the construction costs. And it more than doubled. So now it's a $15 million water park. So if we could have done this in like 2020 before all that, it would have been about 6 to 7 million. But that's just how life changed. And we all know that it impacts all the pieces. So we've currently raised $10 million, and all but $1 million of it has been from the private sector. And unfortunately, there's a couple of things from the city side that where before we started the fundraiser, you always, whenever you start a capital project, usually you have about half of it kind of committed, you know, and knowing that, hey, we have this much left. Well, the city was going to be the front end on the other half of the capital. And they were going to use the vehicle of what the regional sales tax that they have. They just needed to re-up it, and it was going to be a pathway. But then the state stepped in and they put a 2-year sales tax moratorium. So we had already started fundraising, well, we couldn't turn back. And now it's been the 2 years and it's still going on. I think it's next year when they get to pull it back. Well, but unfortunately, the city is not in a position where they're going to be able to support us as what they intended to. So what needs to happen is this, is the 2 different perspectives that I shared earlier from Jeff and Melinda from the business side, their community and the growth of our community. And then just, it's a want by our community. We truly need everybody in this community to help us out. And so what we are doing is, what we're asking for is people to consider a 5-year gift to this project that pays itself off in 5 years, that helps people maximize their gift. And that 5-year commitment just helps us take the loan. We take a loan and we'll be debt free after 5 years. Those who grew up in this community, Scott Adams, who you may or may not know, was the Y director before myself. Scott is the one that deserves all the praise of the success of the Y now. Him and a group of volunteers got the Y out of really horrible financial health on helping spaces to allow us to start doing this work. We're committed to not ever put the Y back into an unhealthy space financially. So that's where the 15 million and fundraising piece is. And this just starts to show some of the individuals who are committed to this. And I truly believe that the only way we're going to be able to achieve this is if everybody in this community chooses to help us out. So where we are, as I shared before, is, you know, we are 10 of the 15 million there. Our goal is to get a shovel in the ground this year. We were ready to go in 2020. So it's been 5 years. Municipal's been gone for north of 20 years. So over 20 years, this community has not had a water park. And so they deserve it. The community deserves it. So that's where it comes back to where we have naming opportunities for companies and organizations that want to commit, and individuals who want to commit at a higher level. And we want to recognize everybody that gets involved in this. And so again, our goal would be is individuals to consider that 5-year gift commitment to help us get this thing brought to life and bringing it back to Central Minnesota. So that is us. That is the Y story in a nutshell, where we talked about some of the mission and the work and the big end. And then what most people don't recognize is, again, the opportunities that the Y gets to help in areas that I said in the very beginning is that, like, I don't like to duplicate things. I don't want us to duplicate, and I want us to partner. We have a lot of partners that want to help make this happen and bring a resource to our community that we don't have.
So what did you say you needed?
I need, for the community, we need another $5 million to get us to
So
15.
Stearns County just passed a levy for your 25 million for new jail, which would be about 0.01% to put wool, you know, instead of jail a bunch of people. I mean, I'm just wondering, like, why can't Stearns County chip in? They just passed a $75 million levy.
Before they passed the levy passed,
So there's room for
Stearns
improvement.
County, they put in $1 million
Oh, they
already.
got more money now. They got more money now.
That's the beauty of fundraising. There's a lot of organizations that have a lot of money. It's just, how do you get yourself into that, that space?
I'd be happy. That's it.
But again, there's a lot of important needs in our community, and I'm not arguing with what you're bringing forward in that conversation, But we've been trying to exhaust all of the larger gifts. And what will happen is, we want to get a shovel in the ground this summer, because it has been too long without it, and it takes. The architects and the construction teams, they say it takes 9 to 11 months for it to be built. I'm thinking it's gonna be closer to 11 months than it will be 9. So that's why the sooner we can get the shovel in the ground, the better chance that we have of opening this in 2026.
Have you seen like once you get a shovel in the ground, we're interested in donating, that kind of help a little bit with that?
No, typically what happens is once you start it with a shovel in the ground, the fundraising starts to go away. Because then people just mentally, they think that the money's all there. And so that's why we have to be diligent and just hold until we have all the funds committed. And even from the commitment level, the Y is contributing right now $1 million out of our own operations to make sure that we get this built. But when I talk about the cities, they don't have the ability right now to help with the capital investment, but they are going to be a partner in this for capital replacement, as well as, the water. They're going to donate the water for this. So the city is a real partner to this. So I don't want to ever misspeak or make it sound like the city's not doing anything. They are a partner to this.
I'm curious about the connection between CentraCare and the YM. In the introduction, talked about how CentraCare partnered with the YM in order to get this built. The new YM.
Yeah. So I'm gonna alter those words just a little bit. My appetite has always been that CentraCare should be a partner with the YMCA, because the word health. You cannot be the largest healthcare system and not be a part of one of the larger health organizations in our community. The challenge is that when we think about CentraCare and health, most of the time, kind of using the layman's term, it's in repair health. It's not in preventative health. And that's the challenged area that we have. So CentraCare is a partner. They have a 15-year, I believe, lease agreement with us in the space that is 7,000 square feet. And so when we started talking about partnering, it was around preventative health. That was the deal. We wanted to work together around preventative health. I don't want to be in there in other spaces. So they had their weight management program that was actually inside of that space. And then as the pandemic came and went, they've discovered that there's probably more virtual work that they do versus in-person work. And so then it's had a few different iterations of itself in that space, to where now they have a headache management, and that's what they use in there right now. And so I'm actually in conversation with a couple of their team members, one from the executive team and one on the physician side, of what does our work look like, moving forward? How do we make sure that it's preventative health that we continue to partner? The other thing too is, I don't want them in space. I want them in space that we can work together. So I'll give you a for instance where we have not restarted this program, but most people don't realize that when someone has a cardiac episode and they go through the cardiac rehab piece of it, there's actually an 80% fail rate of those who graduate out of the rehabilitation part that actually continue to do their work. And we actually had it set up about every week. You have about 4 people that come out of the cardiac rehab, which is just kind of crazy in itself to think about. And we had it set up to where their team would come and meet with my team at the Y. And really what it was supposed to be a transition and a handoff to help build a relationship. Because let's just be honest, when you have relationships and you have people helping hold you accountable, you're more probably going to have a better success pattern. So again, once the pandemic happened, that program went away. And unfortunately, there's some funding that they didn't have to help them be able to continue to send their staff over. So those are the things that we're trying to do, is make sure that how can we partner with our largest medical provider in our community around preventative health.
They give nothing or what?
Sorry?
They give nothing?
To the water park?
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
That's too bad.
Goodness, I would have thought that it would be essential for them, because I'm
Or
aware that they
responsibility.
have a lot of turnover of staff and a hard job getting the number of staff they need. And this is a major asset for them, for their families.
Yeah, and they recognize that.
Yeah,
The truth is, I think if we were out fundraising in 2020 versus 2025 or 4, it's changed in their focus. Their focus right now is to make sure that they get that teaching school established and bring in that rural physicians to our community. And that's where they're investing their resources. So I don't begrudge them, and to go back, you know, the importance of it, and to your point, where is he at? You know, Dr. Holman, you know, their family made a significant gift to this project. He understands the importance of it. It just goes to where, again, this community, I feel like we're always playing catch up. And with that pandemic, it forced even more of a catch up for us of a lot of these
I
initiatives.
agree, and I wanna go back to the Stearns County thing.
Yeah.
So, you know, we have a really low graduation rate in the St. Cloud area.
Mhm.
There's a direct correlation, in my opinion, between people that don't graduate from high school that go to jail. Really, a $375 million facility, it sounds like a business plan to me. Like literally, one of the things YMCA is you do a lot of community sports services. It's gonna be a drain on your resources in the next 5-10 years. If these kids that don't graduate high school end up in jail, they're gonna be coming here to you for services. So I'm telling you, there's a huge, you know, there's 375 million, you know, that seems to me to be a conversation that could be helpful in getting the other 5 million from Service County.
Yeah.
This California kids go, I'll go talk to myself for you. I've talked to you a few times. I mean,
Yeah.
I see that as a business plan, what passed here this fall, nothing more than you know, you see a low graduation rate and they're building brand new jails. There's a direct correlation. That's a business plan that many people would really, you know. So it's kind of nervous to see where St. Cloud going next 10 to 15 years with that facility. You build a facility, you need people in it.
Yeah, and that's a discussion I'm probably one to avoid.
I get it.
You're gonna need both,
100%.
and I'm more biased,
100%.
yeah, let's invest in these things.
Well, let me redirect. There's something that the reason I came to this, I want to talk to you about this. It's something that I have been involved with. It's in for the community, supervised business.
Yeah.
The YMCA is a huge resource. A lot of family court laws were based on 1960s, and so I've been involved with that family supervised business at the YMCA. I had to pay, it was ridiculous. Long story short, I'm just wondering. It's a very difficult for me to sit there because I got emotional investment. I'm just wondering, like, how much more you can push that, because I think that's really important. You know, over 50% of kids are being born out of wedlock in this country right now. And to have that resource there at the YMCA for that supervised visit, in order to reunite these families and kind of get over, these judges don't seem to get as involved as the 20-year-old person who is doing supervised visit. If you follow me, and so I'm just wondering what your thought is on that, because I know it's a big thing, it's hard to staff that place for that job.
You know, what's interesting, and I don't know what this fully means yet, but I know with the counties in the state, they're looking at a different model.
Okay.
And I don't know what the model means yet.
Yeah.
And so my team is actually trying to be engaged in
You
this
want to be involved
conversation. My team is involved in that discussion
Okay.
to make sure that how is our role inside of this?
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't disagree with anything that you said. We play an important role in these discussions, and we would just want to make sure that that as they look at maybe modifying what the current model and plan is, yeah, what is it our role that we can be with preventive? How can we help alleviate that with an understanding too is it's still going to be needed. It breaks my heart that every month we have somewhere between 50 and 60 families that we're working on. And they're not in it forever. That's the beauty of it also is they're not in it between 50 to 60 families. And so they're not in it forever. It is a transition. It is an important piece of their life. And we just want to make sure that we're a part of it. Yes.
I was just gonna ask about the diversity piece. That's one of the things I love most about the Y.
Mhm.
And I just wondered how you fostered that.
You know, I would say that it goes back to those 3 words that we've talked about before. Is that we really just focus about being a serve and a care and a loving place. The other thing too is that, and I would say in the last. Okay, so when I was in my 80s, that means I was closer to being a teenager than I am closer to be a 60-year-old, right? So my involvement in just monitoring and paying attention to life and politics and all that is different. And I think we would all acknowledge that social media is, I don't know if it's helping life or hurting life, but it is creating probably more diversity in our community. And so as a nonprofit, there's many times where we get asked to step in and have a voice around social issues. That my opinion is this, and this is how we become diverse. I said diverse, you can use it whatever you want. It could just be the diversity of our ideologies, right? A Christian and non-Christian. How in the world does a Christian organization serve a Muslim, a Jewish person, and whomever? Because when we come in, we just want to serve, care, and love. We just want to serve, care, and love for you where you're at. We don't take any sides on any positions. The reason being is that the second I do, then we stop conversation. We are going to build bridges. We're going to be intentional. So now, having said that, there are some issues that I think we can, no matter what your thought is, big extreme one way or the other. So like children, the month of April is a large awareness month in our communities around child abuse. I think we're all on the same agreement that there should not be any child abuse, right? So we will have a voice, we will elevate that. I will protect children. That is that's a non-starter. But the rest of those spaces, no, we just want to serve. We want to serve, we want to hire, we want to seek to understand. And it doesn't mean we have to agree all the time either. You know, that gentleman and some of his strong opinions there, that's okay. I hear you, but I'm not a purist either though. It's like people look at me and go, oh, you must eat healthy and wow, I'm drinking a pop on the way over here. I'm not for child development. But I want to make sure though that we just create a space where everybody can come and love. So we were talking earlier about like news. You know, we had to do at the Y. We don't show news channels at the Y. Because people were getting into arguments while you're supposed to be coming to a place to become more healthy. So, you know, guess what? If you can't be an adult, we'll make adult decisions. But that's how we become diverse. We want to be welcome. And heaven forbid that someone doesn't look like you, act like you, behave like you, is in the same building and you get to know them. Get to know a neighbor that you know.
I've had a walking program for 8 million years now, but a year ago, this past October, I thought, you know, I can't do a lot of walking in the winter time. Ice, snow, whatever. So I thought, wait a minute, I can do the Silver Sneakers program with the Y. So that's why I got started with that. And I hadn't been there more. Now all I do is the walking. I don't do any of the equipment. It's just the track. And within a week, you have people saying hi to you if they're going faster than you, or hi if you're going past them because you're faster than they are. And you all of a sudden start seeing people because they come at the same time. And so you end up, and so I'm on the early shifts at 5 o'clock. And
I'll never see you there.
Pastor too, one time, once. But anyway, so you've got this almost a community if you see the same people. So even if you're not on the equipment, you're still passing people that way. And just, it's a very nice, friendly, inviting environment. Everything's kept nicely, you know, they're always cleaning up the track and they're vacuuming and doing all this other stuff. And so I'm still doing it.
Good for you.
But I think part of that, getting people to get with the program and stay with it, like if someone who's in, you know, a heart attack or something like that. I think if you could get them there at that place, that would help them hopefully to stay with whatever, because it's just been very positive.
Is it dog friendly?
No.
Oh.
And the only reason why is, like we have an employee, bless her heart, she's probably mid-20s. She has a rare disease where she just randomly will faint. And so her service animal, because, and I'm just completely fascinated by this. They've trained a dog that can sense when she's going to faint. And be there as sister. So from that perspective, yes. But the reason why we don't is, again, there's just While we try to be inclusive, we gotta pick and choose some lanes here, and there's a lot of people that aren't going to be able to handle a dog in the building or another animal. So no, we're not dog friendly. It's like, there's somebody like, I'm gonna bring my service animal into the pool area. And it's, no, we can't, because then there's just filters and service and things like that, but no. Sorry. Separation for an hour, it'll be healthy.
The other thing I was gonna say is I love all of the programming, that happens there. I mean, I know I've seen, new moms coming.
Mhm.
And so they must do some educating about, whether it be breastfeeding and.
Yeah.
Just every day that I'm there, I feel like there's just different things happening.
Mhm.
In addition to all the classes, and all of that. It's just so for the community, and then, every time you enter, there's just people on the tables, around the tables.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's a very social gathering place too, which I just like. I just like the feeling that, connection is the right word for the why.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate you pointing that out, Chris, because when she was talking about the breastfeeding class, that's one of those CentraCare partnerships.
Mhm.
Again, it's a need, it's something that's there and available. When we talk about a retired community, when you talk about Silver Sneakers, I have a love-hate relationship with that program. And the love is the people that it brings in. The hate is our business partner, because the financial model isn't fair. Which isn't your guys' problem, it's our problem that we're fixing. And the reason why I say that, I'll give you a perspective. We're a $6 million operation. We provide about $500,000 annually to families and community to access programs at a reduced cost. So then therefore, swim lessons, membership, the visitation program we talked about, those are becoming affordable. And then we provide about another 1.5 million of free and reduced programs. So therefore, it's not based upon income.
Mhm.
It's just based upon accessibility. And actually, one of the largest areas that we subsidize is that Silver Seekers program.
Mhm.
So what's my insurance company taking in for this?
We're recording this, so therefore I can't.
I just thought it was really curious, 'cause I'm thinking, how many people are like part of this program, and what was the?
So, yeah, so the way this program works, I'll answer this, yeah, in generality here. So the way the program works is Silver Sneakers, it's actually not the insurance company. So the insurance company partners with a third party, and this third party, the company's name is called Tivity. And under Tivity, back in the 80s, they created this quote unquote brand, Silver Sneakers. And so then what happens is the insurance companies will pay Tivity to then partner with wellness facilities like the Y. And then pay the Y to deliver the program inside of it. So the insurance company likes this program because they do want you to be healthy. They have that intent, but they want this much responsibility in managing. So it's really the issue that we have with is, first of all, we should have had it with ourselves, because back in the 80s, I wasn't making decisions, but now I get to make decisions so I can influence those. Is that the third party that they're using, they're the ones that's making most of the money.
Mhm.
If you take $1, we are maybe getting 50 to 60 cents on the dollar, or the one that absorbs all the costs.
Mhm.
And the insurance company knows this, and they just don't have the responsibility?
We are working diligently right now, educating the insurance companies how we don't like certain aggregators, that third party, to work with. So it is a pain point for us, from that.
People don't know that.
Well, and that's why
You do.
so that's why, while this is recorded, I have to be very careful. Because we have a contract that they have done, the aggregators have done a good job of, like, we can't talk about how much money we get paid or not get paid. But what we can do is we're trying to control that narrative. As a why, here's just something philosophically, I'm a one-trick pony. You know, you heard earlier, I started the Y when I was in college. And, I don't apologize for being a nonprofit. I don't apologize that my goal is to make as much money as we can as a nonprofit. Because as you all fundamentally understand, that just means we get to reinvest it back in our community. And so when we have sideways business models like this, we have to get it corrected. And we're working on this on a much larger level that we're trying to correct this. So if you guys know people at the insurance companies that are up in this, that's what we're working on. But still, I love, and this is what people get confused about. I love those who are a part of the Silvers program, and we want you there. We're just gonna find a better partner to make it happen. And we got another partner that we work with where we actually make more money with. And I'm trying to figure out a legal way to encourage people to shift to the other insurance provider. Because a lot of the times what I find out is the other insurance provider will provide equal or maybe even sometimes better plans. But there's just some other nuances inside.
Thank you for telling me that.
On the track to share that. Just make sure you tell them the program's not going away, because that's whenever time it gets brought up, that's what I hear is, oh, you're making it go away. No, I'm not. Just trying to make it a way that it's a win-win for everybody.
No, you just want it to be fair, right? That's not fair for you.
Not at all.
Okay.
That's what partners are supposed to be, right?
Those are
Thanks so much for coming, Greg. Any more questions?
Thank you, everybody.
No, I was just gonna say thank you too, and I'll just throw one more affirmation in for your staff. Our granddaughter did the Y camp last summer.
Oh, awesome.
And, you know, it was really good for her. And I think that it's well staffed, because I did a lot of the picking up and bringing her and hearing about everything during her day, and yeah, so it was excellent.
Yeah.
And then they're getting that physical activity too, built in.
Yeah, the tug
Time in the pool and the rock climbing was her highlight.
Well, and imagine this is that, you know, with the day camp, we have over 100 kids that are there every day with our day camp. And then when we get this built, they have access to this as part of your day camp. This thing here, this is existing pickleball courts. What people don't know is it's an outside concrete space that I created. So on days when it would rain, that the camp could be outside. We have this challenging relationship between myself and the camp staff, is that I don't want the kids inside. And it's not that I don't love the kids. The kids just aren't outside enough anymore. And I'm like, go outside, go explore the outside, go find games that don't require you to be inside. And so that's why I went back to this, is that I love the kids at the Y. I love them here. The retirees don't love it so much, because we disrupt the normal routines that happen, you know, throughout the school year. And when the kids are in school, it creates a little bit more peace, which I can appreciate. I know some grandparents that they love their grandkids, but they love them in little snapshots and just don't disrupt my routine, right? And that just happens. So, but thank you for affirming that also.
I want to give a shout out to the 5Ks that you help sponsor, because I do think that it makes them so accessible. I mean, for $5, you get a t-shirt, you get to run, and there's so many people of different, like you said, like diversity in terms of age, athletic ability. You know, there's multiple generations out there running. It's really fun.
Yeah,
So.
what most people don't realize, like when you say that you have this walking program, kudos to you, you're in the 20%. Statistically shown is that in communities, only 20% of the community are actively choosing to find an active lifestyle. So that means we're trying to chase 80% of our community and help them see those benefits. And there's times it's like, I don't get to do the things that I used to do when I was younger. And so I've had to become a version of a runner. I don't call myself a runner. And I'm also one that, for as much as I say, come inside and be a part of the Y, I cannot run on a treadmill and I can't run in a circle. Bless your heart for walking in a circle, because I just can't do it. So during the winter months, I don't work out like I used to. So I'm more of a 20%er But from about, well, the wishbone, which is the last run, until the pot of gold, which is here in about 3 weeks. I try to, I don't know, I call it my healing time for my body and mind. But I lift more, because we have to lift. If you're not lifting, start lifting. We all have to lift.
I just have my tiny weights at home because the range you've got out here, I probably have tendonitis. So I just.
No, because I use the little 4-pounder also. I use the smaller ones too. We all have to lift those. We keep getting older. That is a truth. So, well, thank you. Thank you. Oh, if you want a flyer about the water park, you can just take